Logging and monitoring forms a very, very major part of your security operations, right? Because to operate something, you need to have observability, as I discussed, right? So logging techniques is basically you are capturing the events into a log file and then sending it into a database, right? That is how generally logs are, right? It basically captures any changes, any messages other than data describing activities of the system. So what has happened, when, where, what, how, who. So these are the things you are trying to see when you are trying to log something. So you might pick up a lot of logs, security logs, system logs, application logs, firewall logs, proxy logs, change logs. Okay. Logs also become part of your evidence. So you might have to protect them. Okay. Say something unauthorized has happened into your network and it becomes an evidence. The log becomes a evidence. Okay. And then you monitor. You monitor basically to check the audit trails. Okay? You see that something is not gone wrong. You can establish accountability. You can carry out investigation, and you can identify any problems which are there in your network. Right. Generally, how do you monitor? You do log analysis. SIM is there. You choose system log. You carry out sampling. Sampling means out of the given logs, you take a sample and check if there is something wrong. Okay. Then you have something called clipping levels. Clipping levels is if say a user tries 3 bad username passwords, you get an alert that there have been trials for 3 username and password, because that could be a brute force attack, right? So this is called clipping level, creating clipping levels that at this level, beyond this, I should get an alert. Okay. Then you can monitor from CCTV, keystroke analysis, and traffic and trend analysis. If traffic spikes in a regular day, your traffic is this, but in one day you are finding your traffic is, so it might be some kind of a exfiltration which has happened. You have to manage your logs, so you need a proper log management system. How to save your logs, how to recover your logs. So you need to have a log management system also to collect and safeguard your logs. Okay. Egress monitoring systems, I've already told you, you're trying to on your network, you're trying to monitor if something is being thrown out. Okay. Generally, egress monitoring is done. How does egress take place? Either a hacker will create a command and control network using a VPN. He'll create a VPN from your network. Now, first thing you monitor on your networks is authorized VPNs. Okay. Generally, hackers will try to establish a VPN which will look authorized. So you try to find these such VPNs if some kind of attack has taken place. Second thing they will embed data into images. Okay. They will embed data into images, and that is called steganography. So you can always search steganography tools to see whether somebody is trying to exfiltrate data using steganography. Third is digital watermarking. You watermark all your files with some hidden hash. Okay. And your DLP system checks for this hash going out of your network in an unauthorized, and that is called egress monitoring. Okay. Then automating response, as I told you, so source systems, they help you in orchestrating, automating your security response. It involves creating playbooks and runbooks for different incident types. Okay, SOAR can respond to multiple attacks together. Machine learning and AI tools, I told you, machine learning algorithms learn from data sets and they get better over a period of time. And they create a baseline, and depending upon that baseline, they can respond. Yeah. You should always be able to say why. Okay, you can say threat detection, of course, log collection. How does it help in asset discovery? Anyone?
Yeah, hi, sir. So when any individual logs in, if we integrate the SIM system, then it kept certain logs, and then when the SCCM team or the asset management team discovered the system, they find the traces of the logins.
Yeah. So You can find logs coming from multiple sources. Okay. And this is your SIEM. You can always see if the log is coming from an endpoint, then you know that, okay, this endpoint is there in my asset management system or not. Okay. In my AD, is it there in my AD or not? So you can connect your SIEM to your existing AD. Okay. You can fetch your AD log and compare whether this user exists or not. Right. So logs ultimately tell you from where they are coming, from where. The moment you know from where they are coming, that means in a way it is inventorizing assets for you. So you can create certain queries on your SIEM which can generate the assets for you. What are the endpoints? What are the servers? Okay. You can write a simple query and you can list out what all assets are there in your system. Right? Then threat intelligence is identify, knowing about your threats. Now, the concept of threat intelligence started from something in the military concept called kill chain. In kill chain, what happens is we analyze that if somebody wants to attack us, how will they attack us? Okay, they will launch, say, a rocket. It will be launched from a launch pad. It will be in the air. It will follow a proper trajectory. Okay, and then it will hit. So you can interrupt the target at multiple phases, when it is at the ground, when it is in the air, when it is in the projectile motion, when it is in the downward motion. You can also sever its communication link so that it is not able to be guided. So basically, the kill chain concept is basically how to, you know, track a target and its effectiveness. Okay? And the same concept was used in something called the cyber kill chain. How a cyber attacker will launch an attack. It was given by Lockheed Martin. Okay. So first, what any hacker or any bad actor will do is, first it will try to reconnaissance. So now when it's carrying out a reconnaissance on you, and say you have a firewall and you receive an nmap query, then this is your first indicator, right? That somebody is doing an nmap query. Okay, so this means somebody is trying to do a reconnaissance on me. Okay, or somebody is trying to find out my address IP. So ultimately, they're all trying to find this IP address. So you receive an email which say reply to this email to get 50% off on Amazon, right? Now, this should be a small trigger for you. Why? Because from email, I can extract your IP address. My main aim is to find your IP address, right? Isn't it? So if I'm able to find your IP address, then I can launch an attack, right? Then once I found the IP address, then I need to find the weaknesses in your system. So I'll do multiple queries and try to find weaknesses in your firewall. If there is a firewall, if there is no firewall, I straight away connect. Okay? I do some remote connectivity to the servers or system. So then I find out what is your weakness and I do a weaponization. I create a payload which can affect your systems. Then I deliver it. How do I deliver it? I can deliver it through a pen drive. I can deliver it through a, I send a small pen drive, software bought by you. Please deliver it to IT section. Okay. Or I might send you an email with a infected macro on a Word file. Okay. I can deliver it. So there are many ways I can deliver the malware. Okay. And once malware is delivered, then I will exploit your systems. Once I've exploited your systems, then I will try to have persistence, wherein I will install a malware. I'll create a command and control infrastructure so that I can instruct the malware what to do. And then I carry out exfiltration or ransomware, whatever. So these are the steps. If this is the steps of the hacker, what you will do at each step becomes your blue team response activities. Okay. So this is how you keep your eye on your threat. Now to evaluate your threat, its tactics, techniques, and procedures, there is a beautiful framework called the MITRE attack framework, which gives you the 18 or 19 steps as to how an attacker will carry out an attack. And each step has a different defined level and each can combine to other steps. So by keeping an eye on each of the steps, you can predict what an hacker can do, and then you can respond accordingly. Okay. You get multiple threat feeds through which you can know about the tactics, techniques, and procedures of hackers. Using these threat feeds, you can tune your infrastructure. You tune your infrastructure depending on threat feeds. The threat feed says, okay, if you are having Windows AD, these are the threats which are emanating. So you try to patch your Windows AD threats. Recently, a threat came on our client, which was very critical, wherein the checkpoint firewalls had a very imminent bypass. So we immediately patched all their firewalls, right? So this is because we maintained a thread feed. I can consistently keep eye on equipment which we have deployed on our client sites, and I keep a check on all the client side equipment. Okay, and then you have a small team sitting and evaluating the techniques, tactics, and procedures of the hackers, and trying to find is there any indicator of compromise inside your network. Okay, so that you can do a proactive action before the hacker is able to establish his command and control on your network. Okay, so active threat hunting in bigger organizations is a must. Okay, then next, the last part is disaster recovery planning. So you are supposed to plan for any disasters. Okay, and what are the major disasters? Earthquakes, floods, storms, fires, pandemics. Okay, there could be man-made disasters, terrorism, hardware failures. So you need to plan and develop your systems for high availability and fault tolerance. You need to design systems for high availability and fault tolerance. Okay, and that's how you achieve your system resilience. So what is high availability and fault tolerance? Not having a single point of failure. Say you have one server, it is serving 1,000 clients, it becomes a single point of failure. So what you do, you put it behind a load balancer and put two servers. So it becomes a high available and a fault tolerant architecture. If this fails, one is available. High availability because say there are 1,000 customers logged into one, another 1,000 come, they are also able to. And this is the concept of high availability and fault tolerance. Now, one very important concept which does get tested on CISSP many times is the RAID configurations. Okay, so how you arrange your hard disks, how you arrange your hard disks, okay, for backups. Basically, this is for backups. Okay, so say you have an organizational, client, everything, servers, everything is there, and you want to take backups of all the data and the images into a backup server, and backup server will have certain hard disk in certain arrangement. The first arrangement is called the RAID one, wherein the backups are mirrored. Okay, so whatever you store on block one, you straight away store block one. And so two hard disks, they are what now they are in a HA mode and HA and FT mode. Okay, so if this fails, you have complete data. Okay, this is called mirroring. Then you have something called RAID 0. In RAID 0, what you do is striping. So what you do is you have complete block of data. First block you write on one drive, second block you write on second drive. Now what happens is this spreads your data. It gives you high availability, but with only 50% recoverability. Okay, you lose 50% data if you implement RAID 0. So that's why what you do is you implement RAID 10. RAID 10 is striping with mirroring, wherein you have first a mirror of your stripe. So you wrote first block, second block, third block, fourth block, and different blocks on different, and then you mirror it. Then you mirror it. So you first wrote A1, you mirrored it. A3 mirrored it, A5 mirrored it, A7 mirrored it, A2 mirrored it, A4 mirrored it, A6. So you basically, if one of your drives fails, you have complete data available. It will not get lost. So RAID 10 is an effective backup strategy. Okay. Then how do you protect your servers? With load balancing. I explained load balancing. You generally put a load balancer in front of the servers to serve multiple. Okay. That's a standard architecture of a web application on a internet facing network. Then you protect your power source. How do you protect your power source? Now this affects your availability, right? You use UPS generators, okay? Carry out overload calculations and provide for additional power systems in case there are any power outages. Then whenever your systems fail, you have to plan for something called trusted recovery. What is a trusted recovery? A trusted recovery is a process in which you recover your systems into a secure state. Say your system was operating securely, right? And a disaster strikes. Now, the moment disaster strikes, the system goes into failure. Okay. and you tried to recover it. So when you tried to recover it, it actually didn't go into a secure state. It remained in an unsecured state. Okay. Trusted recovery means you recover the systems into a trusted, secure state. Because at times when you're recovering the systems, a lot of controls would have failed. Okay, those controls have to, get those controls have to be RAID 5. Generally, RAID 1 and RAID 0 is 2. RAID 5 is basically having parity bit. Okay, striping with parity. Parity bit means like I've written the data. Okay, I've written the data on. I maintain the parity bit telling that where does the data block of A reside. Okay. So parity bit basically keeps a check on which data resides where. So there are 3 blocks of data. First block saved on disk 1, second block saved on disk 2, third block saved on disk 3. So parity bits basically tells you that which type of data is there on which. You have, say, a parity bit 0, 1, 1. Okay, this is your parity bit. So 0 means my data has to go to this drive. Okay, 0, 1, 0, if the parity bit is 0, 1, 0, that means it has to go to this drive. And 0, 0, 1, the parity bit is 0, 0, 1, that the data has to go to this drive. So basically telling the backup sequence where the data has to be sent. Clear? Arshid? Right. Generally, RAID 1 and RAID 0 are the most commonly asked. Okay. So trusted recovery means you are trying to recover system into a trusted state. So common criteria which we saw, there's a common criteria SSA 18, right? It gives 4 ways of recovery: manual recovery, automated recovery with undue loss, and functional recovery. Not important. You should know what is trusted recovery. Okay, then for network, you have one parameter called quality of service to check what is the efficiency of your network. Okay? Basically, to find out bandwidth, latency, jitter, packet loss, etc. It's a parameter which tells you about the efficiency of your network. Right? Then what will be your recovery strategy once your disaster strikes? Okay? Recovery strategy is, okay, if your main site, generally when you talk about recovery strategy, this was your main site, disaster has struck, now you have to work from your alternate site. Okay. So DR strategy talks about how do you operate from your alternate site. So you can have many alternate sites. Okay. One is a cold site. That means you have your main site. Okay. Everything is here, but cold site is just a shed. Okay. It's just a shed, no infrastructure. That means you have to shift everything from here to here, or you have additional resources which are earmarked during your DR, and you move these additional resources here and then make this active. What is the problem? Time consuming, but cheaper. Okay, but cheap. Then you have something called hot sites. Hot site means everything is ready. This is your main site. Hot site is your shed is there. You have your computer tables. Your network is running, up and running. You just might have to replicate the data. You might have to replicate the data, and the site is up. If disaster strike, you can keep recovering this. You start working from your alternate site. Okay, so this is called a hot site. Then you have something called a mirror site. A mirror site is you have a main site and everything is mirrored onto your alternate site. The moment main site goes out, alternate site goes 100% redundancy. Okay, but very, very costly. Okay. Now you can have a main site on your physical infra. Okay. And the moment disaster strikes, you can shift to the cloud. Your backup or your DR site is in cloud. Right? Pandemic during this thing, COVID, this is what most of the organizations did. They moved to the cloud and executed their work efficiency, right? So today, cloud has also become a good DR site strategy. Okay, the moment disaster strikes, move everything to cloud and operate from there. So now those organizations which had a cloud DR strategy were very effective in executing this particular strategy. Then you have something called warm sites. Warm sites are okay somewhere in between hot and cold sites. They might have a shed, they might have a network cable. Cables might be there, computers may not be there. Computers are brought in, data is replicated, and then they sit somewhere between your hot site and your cold site. Mobile sites, in army we have a lot of mobile sites. When main site is down, you have a mobile site which can drive to some place and establish the required data and network. They are called mobile sites. Cloud computing, I told you, and there is something called mutual assistance agreements. Okay, you are a company based out of Delhi, okay, and have another company based out of Mumbai. So Mumbai company says if disaster strikes here, I will move the operations to your Delhi office. You say if there strikes in Delhi, I will move the operations to Mumbai office. Okay, mutual agreement, not seen, not heard. Okay, right. So I've told you recovery sites important, will be tested in your exam.